Hi, it's Mary. I hope everyone is doing well today. So I've wanted to do a tree identification with you for a while, and because it's a nice warm day in autumn, I thought it would be a good day to do that. So we'll take a look at some of the trees, shrubs, and vines in the woods where I live, talk about how you can identify what they are. I did mention that it's warm. You might notice that I am wearing long pants, long sleeves, and that's just to protect me from anything like poison ivy or thorns or anything I might encounter in the woods. So let's get started. Woodbine is a vine that grows up trees, and it can grow pretty high. Woodbine is the first thing to color in the understory of our woods, and actually our understory colors before the rest of the woods. Woodbine starts going red probably mid-August, and there are a couple identifying things for woodbine. Like I said, it's a high climbing vine. It's a compound leaf. So this is the leaf, and it has 5 leaflets. There, you can see all 5 of the leaflets. One, there. They come out of a central, each of the leaflets come out of a central point, so that is called a palmate compound leaflet. If you look at an individual leaflet, and this one's pretty large so you can see pretty well, it's got a central vein with the other veins coming off of it, and they're pretty widely spaced apart. So woodbine can grow pretty tall up an individual tree, or if there's no tree or sign or something for it to grow on, it can grow along the ground. The next plant we're going to take a look at is American hazel, and American hazel is a shrub. And if you've ever had hazelnuts, or some people call them filberts, a hazel shrub is where those nuts come from. And I'll bring you in closer for a look at the hazel. So this is just a branch of the American hazel. As you can tell, the stem is a light brown or gray color. The leaves are arranged alternately on the stem. So what that means is you'll have a leaf here, and then on the other side further down another one, and then on the other side further down another one, and it's arranged like that all the way down the stem. The American hazel, they turn red in the fall, and there's a little one that's starting to go red. They also can be more yellow like these. Other things to notice about the hazel is that the edge is slightly serrated on that leaf. You have the central vein again, and then the individual veins are distanced a little away from one another. And we'll back up a little for one more look at the American hazel. And if we step further back, you can see the shape of the shrub. And they get pretty tall. Next, we're going to take a look at downy arrowwood, and downy arrowwood is another shrub. So the leaves of the downy arrowwood, and I'm hoping you can see this, are arranged parallel on the branch or on the stem, so they are across from one another. They have a serrated edge. So as you can see, and I think with my finger behind there you can see it better, the edge is highly serrated. And the veins on the leaves, again, there's the central vein, the other veins come off of it, and they are pretty widely spaced. We're going to go for a little walk. I'm going to take you down closer to the river. I want to show you a high bush cranberry. It might be windier down there, so I might not be able to talk that much. So if that happens, we'll come back up here and talk about what we saw. So this is the high bush cranberry, and it's a pretty tall shrub. We're now looking at the bark of the high bush cranberry, and a high bush cranberry can have one stem or multiple stems. So there's one back there, there's this one, there's this one. That is the fruit of the high bush cranberry. These are the leaves. So they're a simple leaf. They've got 3 lobes. They're starting to go a little red. That one you can see I call it a tulip-like shape. And then the interesting thing on this is you can see that there isn't a central vein. There are 3 veins coming out of the same point down below. So you have multiple main veins coming out of the same point below. The leaves on the branch are opposite. You can see that in these 2, the leaves are coming out of the same spot. And you can see that there too, I think. Next, we'll take a look at a couple oaks. We'll talk about the bur oak and the red oak. And this is bur oak right in back of me, so let's take a look at the bur oak. It's a very tall tree. The leaves are large. Actually, let me just bring that down. There, that might be better. The leaves are attached opposite. They're pretty big, like I said. You can see the bark, even of the stem, is brownish, and it has deep grooves in it. And we're going to follow that along back to the bark on the tree. So this is the tree. And if you can see, the bark is thick, it's gray, it has deep furrows in it. And because there's a bur oak sapling, we're going to take a look at the leaves on that because that's going to be easier to see. So you can see, again, one central vein down the middle, and then the veins coming out from the side are alternate. Cool thing about this particular bur oak is there's a lovely little frog sitting right there. See if we can get there. A nice little tree frog. And if we come back and look at this bur oak leaf, we can see that it has deep lobes cut into it, deep sinuses cut into the lobes. And actually, I think you see that a little better on this one. It's lower. There's a deep sinus cut into it, and then some other lobes. We are going to talk about the red oak next, and this is a red oak. This is a younger red oak. There we go. There's an alternate attachment of the leaves, so attach there, attach there, attach there, attach there. That is a branch of the red oak. You can see that the shape of this leaf is very different than the shape of the bur oak. This one is more pointy. It has the central vein and then alternate veining off of that. So I don't have a mature red oak to show you, but this is the bark of the younger red oak that we were looking at. It's definitely grayish. And this is a red oak leaf that has fallen, and you can see it has 2 to 5 primary lobes. So if you look up, that tall yellow tree is an ash. So I'm trying to bring you closer to see the leaves. And if you notice the yellow one in the middle, it looks like many leaves, so it's a compound leaf. So all of those little leaves on that one in the middle, all the little leaflets, create the leaf. So a cool thing about the ash is that it has what's called honeycomb bark. So it has that pattern in the bark. So now we're going to take a look at a couple trees that are sometimes confused for one another. This is the paper birch. And paper birch can grow individually or in clusters. Like this is a cluster of 3. The leaves are simple, meaning that there are not multiple leaflets per leaf. It's just one leaf, and they are attached alternately. And I think you can see that here. They do have a slight serration on the edge. And they have a central vein, and the other veins come off of that, and they're kind of wider apart, like some of the others that we've seen. And when they turn color in the fall, classically they go to a yellow. And I'm just going to step back and have you see what the tree looks like from further back. So there's our cluster, and if you notice, when the bark will peel off in parallel strips. And there's a good example of that happening right now. There's a good example of that happening right now, right in there. You can see the little paper strips peeling off. So let's just step back and take a look at the tree from further. Sometimes paper birch are confused with trembling aspen, and this is the bark of a trembling aspen. It is also white, but as you notice, there's no paper peeling off or no parallel peeling that looks like paper. We'll step back and take a look at the aspen from up here, because one of the things that gives the trembling aspen their name is the way the leaves tremble in a breeze. Because it is windy out by the road, I actually just grabbed a couple branches of trembling aspen that were laying on the road, and so we'll just take a look at the leaves, how they're arranged, their shape here out of the wind. So as you can see, the shape of the leaf is wider at the base, and then it goes around and up at the top. See, it's got a pretty wide base. It's almost oval in its shape. They are attached alternately on the branch. And we already saw the gray bark on those. So it's a simple leaf. The veining kind of there's the central vein, but then there's others like that. It's pretty far apart, the veining. So there is the leaf of the trembling aspen. And from further up, what a branch is like for the trembling aspen. So I hope you enjoyed this brief tour of the trees in our woods, and obviously that wasn't a comprehensive catalog of all the trees, but just a light look at some of the highlights of the trees in our woods, how you can tell some of those trees apart. Sometimes it's just fun if you're going in the woods to know what kind of trees you're encountering. I will probably come back and take another look at the coniferous trees. This was all deciduous trees. We'll look at coniferous trees another time. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your adventures in the woods.